Colin's sonny Larry. Didn't you and he used to be the best of friends?
We're still the best of friends.
No, you're not.
Who says we're not? Sit somewhere else.
Brendan, Gleeson and Colin Farrell, welcome. Thanks for joining us this morning, straight after the Dublin premiere last night, which looked like great fun. I'm wondering how it felt for you to bring this film in front of an Irish audience. You've had such huge acclaim internationally. Do you think they're going to see it differently, or what's the vibe going to be about it?
It was odd. It was more the way we felt about it, anticipated that it might be different abroad, and we went there first, and actually it hit straight into where we hoped it would hit here, or at least felt it might. So just coming back here, yeah, it was kind of gratifying. You know, it's all you can say. It's great. It seems to be hitting the spot all over.
How do, Pádraig?
Sit somewhere else. Huh? But I have my pint there, Colin.
He has his pint there, Colin, from when he came in and ordered his pint before.
No.
Okay, I'll sit somewhere else.
One of the things I felt coming out of this film was just the word chemistry. You know, we think about chemistry in terms of romantic chemistry, way back to Bogart and Bacall. It doesn't have to be romantic. You two just have it, you know. And I wondered, Colin, what's that? What's that on? What's that about?
Who knows? It's the ineffable, you know. It's just it's the same way friendships are formed easily with some people, and sometimes friendships come about by way of a bit of work and being stuck in the same corner together for a while. And in our case, it was from day one. I was asked, you know, was there a greater shorthand on this film because we had the experience that we shared in Bruges, and the bottom line is, no, we had shorthand from day one. Honest to God, the first time I met this fellow was in a hotel room in the Chelsea Hotel in New York when he was talking about having adapted at Swim Two Birds, and he was going to direct it. And from the first moment he opened the hotel door and we sat down and had a chat,
Yeah, it was really
it was just straight in. Shared sense of humour, shared kind of reference points, very different presentation as human beings, different background, different experience of life in many ways, but somehow there was some kind of deeply set cultural and humanistic touchstone.
Kind of shared aspirations as well, you know, in terms
Yeah.
of work, which is why it bleeds into the work, because we both kind of want to work in the same way, and it's not always possible. Sometimes you have to plough a lone furrow, and some people need that to process their own stuff, and you just have to learn that that's their way to do it. It's not as much fun as collaboration, and we both work best, I think. And the whole crew and the whole cast, all that sort of stuff. Martin does the same. There's a kind of a buy-in to that collaborative raising at the bar for
You have a hand on each other's backs.
Yeah.
Everyone's pushing each other forward. And I mean,
yeah,
as you
no
said, like
complacency, sure,
cast and
just
crew,
like,
not
yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
And there can't be like honest to God, when real love is in the building, when passion and consideration for what you're doing, whether it's the pursuit of a relationship or art or whatever it may be, there's no complacency. Complacency doesn't. Fatigue can come in. And maybe as a result of that, things can seem to get a little bit complacent. But there's
that's
none
where
of the
you feel
initial.
the hand on the back, though.
Yeah, exactly. Someone else is there to lift you, you know.
But then speaking of the friendship, we sort of have a rule book with breakups of romance, not
Yeah.
so much with friendship. And I
Yeah.
have to say, Colin, your character really got me.
Yeah.
When you say to Pádraig, you know, I just don't like you no more. I
His
mean,
whole
your
world
face,
falls
it's devastating,
apart.
isn't
His whole
it?
world
Is that
falls
the
apart.
saddest part you've ever played, do you think?
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, by a mile.
Isn't it?
By a mile.
Yeah.
It's the one that yeah, no, it got in on me. I think it got in on all of us for different reasons, you know. And again, you're whether you realise it or not, you're always referencing the life you've lived when you go to work. You always are. I mean, you're always leaving the port of your own experience, no matter how different the character may seem for you. And so, but this one, yeah, there was a sadness in this that meant we said we'd watch it last night. You know, we said, we've seen it a couple of times, but we're home now. We're in Dublin, with the premiere in Dublin. We'll sit in and we'll watch it. I only lasted 20 minutes last night. I said to him afterwards, I said, I pulled the chute. I bailed because it got in on me again. You know, there's a sadness that is very. People seem to be. We've talked to people and they're incredibly affected by it. Some people think it's the funniest film of the year. Some people are like, Jesus, but hilarious. The two of us were gassed together. And then other people are coming out. My uncle said, I can't talk to you right now. I need to sit with it. But it was amazing. But I have to go off now and just let it wash over me for a while. And that's incredible. You'd be very humbled by people having such immediate and sincere
Jerry
responses.
Byrne went in when we went in last night, and Jerry Byrne said that's the most beautiful film I've ever seen.
Really?
And he said point blank, and he'd had an hour to think about it.
Yeah. To change his mind.
Brendan, I'd love to talk music with you because you're so part of this soundtrack, which is amazing. And we did see you play fiddle on the likes of Cold Mountain before, but you are
brilliant.
part of the soundtrack. We saw you there.
This is next level,
But was
though,
that
yeah.
gorgeous to be able to bring yourself as a musician into this acting role?
Yeah, it was kind of important in terms of the making of the tune, particularly, and also in terms of people like Oliver Farrelly and John Carthy and people, you know, young James. We kind of. It was good to be able to get an authentic thing. Like, there's always a temptation, and in an awful lot of what happens in the movie, everything is made more epic. You know, it's the beauty is almost frightening in terms of all that. So because it elevates the story. It was kind of important for me with the fiddle because I'm a very average sort of attempt at a fiddle player.
I'm dying to argue with you every time you say that, but I know I don't know enough about it.
No, I'm not fully. I can't kind of pursue it the way I would wish to. Or anyway, that's a longer story. But the thing about that I particularly wanted to get was that these were a few tunes that people had in the pub. It wasn't going to be the soundtrack that would, you know, like that would actually elevate it into a place where the music was almost. You know, that was part of the entertainment aspect of it, of the film. It was more that this was part of the language of the film. And that it needed to be like, these are, like John Carr's superb, all these fellas are superb musicians. It's not that. They're extraordinary musicians. But the setting of it and trying to leave it into a place where it was part of an ordinary day, as going, Jesus, like, you know, guess who's playing in the thing?
Yeah.
And so it was that. And then the tune itself had to be personalised because I asked Martin if I could have a go at making the tune myself. And because I wanted to be not nervy about expressing it in the film where you're trying to play something well, because that's always messes you up. And that's really what gets in the way most of the time is like you're trying to correct your own grammar.
Acting, trying to do it right.
So I didn't want to be correcting my own grammar. And so he said, okay, have a go at it and see what happens. So having that meant it had emanated from a part of myself that was also part of the character.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It's just offered an incredibly powerful authenticity to his whole work in the film. I mean, that's what the whole thing is about. I know there are kind of more subtle details beneath the decision that he wants to sever the relationship so that he can pursue art. But that is one of the most profound kind of, I mean, it is the clear reason that he gives to me why our friendship can be no more. So this music comes at such a great price to him and to me and ultimately to the whole island as well, that it had to be about something. It was very powerful. And it changes by the end what that piece of music that he wrote becomes. By the end, when I go into the pub the last time and he's there doing what he's doing and teaching the young lads, and the young lads are shocked and kind of horrified by what's going on in front of them.
Martin had a huge...
It's very powerful.
That
it's really powerful.
Part, like the first two parts were mine, but Martin was whistling down. It was very funny because he whistles like... He was whistling... Could you get it something like a... This came over the phone to me, and I said, I'm not making any sense to that, Martin, but I will. But he had a huge input because by the kind of aggression and the kind of
funeral dirge, there was a war,
and all that blood flying all over the place. Like, so there's a kind of, you know, it has a huge significance, and what it's trying to say is kind of, it's great. The great thing about music is there's no words needed.
And unfortunately, that's the end of our words. We're all out of time.
Thanks,
Gleeson and Colin, thank you so much.
Thanks for talking to us.